failing. Like, a huge part of that is failing, because if you don't go out and fail, how can you learn what you need to improve in? And nobody's perfect, so there will always be some degree of failure. But it's impossible to look at the trend, the path that we're going down, and say all of this AI innovation is going to lead to the same number or more jobs for human beings. I don't think that aligns with the reality of the physical world and the way the world operates. What's up, everybody? Welcome to STi Love to Drive. Wanted to make a little bit of a different video today and just kind of talk about how I got my STi, the journey that led there, because it's more about just a car. It's kind of like building a career, and where that career has taken me to, I think, has put me in somewhat of a unique position to look forward and think about, like, is that career path even feasible anymore? I work in IT engineering, primarily cybersecurity, and I work in sales, so I get to see a lot of innovation, talk with customers all over the world. But it all started at ground level for me as a basically like a help desk person on the Department of Defense contract, one of them over at near my house at a military base. And then I kind of jumped around to a different contract. It was more focused on the engineering side, which is what I wanted to do, mainly networking, a lot of Cisco networking, some Juniper. And then after working for the DoD, I moved over to the commercial side, specifically the financial industry, and learned a lot and met a ton of super smart people that helped guide the road that I went down with my career and ultimately led me to where I am today. Because I have wanted an STi for 20 years. You know, this particular car came out in 2008. So it's been over 15 years since I first saw the hatchback and wanted it. But I was a young parent. I had absolutely no means by which to get one of these cars. So it took a lot of time, a lot of saving, and ultimately like a major shift in my career. Which, going from being on the engineering or operational side to the sales side is a major change. And in this position, I think what I'm seeing is that AI is everywhere. It's getting really annoying how much people are talking about it. And a lot of my peers and I question whether or not, like, people actually want this. And the unfortunate reality is that it doesn't matter if we want it, it's being forced upon us. And we're going to have to make the best out of the situation at hand. But I bring that up because I started as a help desk person resetting passwords. And it was not very long after that self-service password changes started to become popular, and like, oh, there's a part of my job that's now gone. And you could say, yeah, that's kind of an annoying thing to do, but at the same time, that's a function that I'm no longer doing. It's being automated by some process or system. And that is accelerating rapidly to the point of, at the end of the day, what a business wants is to get their products in front of customers so they can make money and generate revenue. All of the IT jobs that sit between, you know, like a Facebook developer or an Instagram, like one of these developers that's putting products out, everything that sits between them and the customer is kind of a problem. It's seen as a cost, an overhead to the business. So the businesses are doing anything they possibly can to reduce that and eliminate that toil, the human toil, and even more importantly, the human the element that is introduced when you have humans that don't, like, they can't follow basic instructions for whatever reason, or I don't know. There's a lot of different reasons why people fail and do dumb things, and all of it is pushing toward automation. And I can tell you that because I worked as an automation developer and engineer for over 6 years in the financial space. It was cutting edge. We were basically acting as our own service provider, just like an AWS or Google or Azure would. We were doing that for ourselves. And now I work for a company that is helping facilitate that, and I actively sell products to global corporations who are using these tools to, in a way, yes, they're improving the lives of their engineers, and I fully support that because that used to be me at one point, so I sympathize with those people. But it's impossible to look at the trend, the path that we're going down, and say all of this AI innovation is going to lead to the same number or more jobs for human beings. I don't think that aligns with the reality of the physical world and the way the world operates. Because what's happening is the manual human labor is being augmented by computer processors and machines, because the software and hardware are now getting so entwined with each other and easy to couple together and perform integrations that you can pretty much abstract away just about any human manual task with a machine that's controlled by software. And if you paid any attention at all to what's happening with AI, what's going to happen when you start coupling AI with highly capable robots? But the Chinese Unitree, I think it's the G1 robot that they just released, the humanoid robot, it's like $6,000. And the thing is unbelievably capable. You couple that with a language model that allows humans to interact with it in a human-like way. And let's just say this. Do you think corporations can make more money off of selling machines and software than they can off of a human being? Think about, what does it take to make a human being persist? They need food, water, shelter, and arguably entertainment. So the machine that we all live in is geared toward enabling humans to live comfortable enough to be productive, but still need that desire to, like, I need to keep working, I want to get more, do more. Does that generate more revenue for the machine, or is it more efficient way for this global industrial military such and so forth complex to survive? Or could they do it with machines? Just think about it. So that is all to say that the IT career has led me, specifically being in sales, to finally acquire one of my dream cars and make it a reality. It took a very long time. It was not overnight. And there were a lot of times along the way when I was so close to pulling the trigger and doing something that would have put me in, like, a really bad financial situation if anything were to go wrong. And if you've followed this channel at all, you know that I bought this car knowing that I would be having the motor rebuilt. So that was all part of the equation. I got it when I knew that I had a buffer. You know, I basically said, I have this budget for the car plus the build, and I waited until I had all of that in cash. Like, there's nothing better than the security and peace of mind of paying for something in cash. I will say I've bought cars in the past. I have like leased and financed cars, and there is like almost always some degree of, not like regret, but you're second guessing yourself after you go through that process for whatever reason. When I bought this car, there was none of that. Total, complete peace of mind. And I haven't really had any second thoughts since then. It's been fantastic. There's a lot more that I could talk about as it relates to IT and getting into that career field. If you're still listening, my advice is focus on being a critical thinker. Think logically. Be creative. Don't lose your creative edge, because as I mentioned before, as developers are and people that produce products are able to get their stuff to market much easier because technology facilitates that, it ultimately means a lot of those jobs between the producer or developer or the creative thinker and the consumer it's going to decrease. Like, there's literally no way there will be more people involved. It doesn't make any sense at all. So be a creative thinker, be active, be learning about what's happening with technology, as annoying as it may be. Unless you plan on going to live in the backwoods and living off the land in some sort of, like, I don't know, off-grid community, which I'm not against that. To each their own, go for it. I will probably see you there at some point. But if you're not like immediately planning to do that, you need to equip yourself with the modern tool belt. So there are some things that are never going away. Networking, computer networking is basically like digital plumbing for data. All people seem to need data processing. If you caught that, comment below. I will literally send you some cool gift if you understand that, what I just said right there. Spell it out in the comments. First person to do it gets something cool. Computer networking, it's hard to even say software development is a good place to look, but again, creativity. Get into an area where you can generate or create something or instruct the AI on what it needs to create for you. Those are the people that are going to excel. And I think a lot of this comes down to the question of, if you were going to buy a piece of art or a piece of music, do you really care who produced it? Does it matter that it's a human being? Could it have been done by a machine and you would enjoy it just as much? And I ask this because I've had conversations with people who think that the arts and AI, how AI interacts in that space, should be regulated. And I don't think it should be, because yes, I like entertainment, I appreciate art, I love to draw and stuff like that, but I don't think it's something that's like, I don't know, it's not necessarily worthy of investment financially, in my opinion. That's probably a really unpopular opinion, but it's not like a critical need for society where someone needs to spend enough of their time doing it where that's the only means by which they can generate revenue. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. The arts, I don't think, should be protected by AI, because ultimately it's human beings that are consuming the arts that will dictate whether or not that even matters. Do humans care that what they consume was made by other humans? I don't know that they do. And I'm pretty sure if they could get it cheaper by a non-human, then they would be just fine with that. I got off topic a little bit, but if you go back and listen to what I said, this all ties together. It all relates to IT and being able to monetize the skills that you have. I worked in a tire shop when I first started in my career path. I worked as a cart pusher at Sam's Club, and then I worked in the tire shop for 6.5 years. And then I got into IT. And I did that very intently because I knew there was a ceiling I would hit with the amount of money that I could make working at Sam's Club. It was either go down the path of training to be a manager or go into IT, and I was making almost the same amount of money when I left IT from the tire shop. It wasn't like a major jump at first, but it was a long-term investment. I knew within the next 5 to 6 years, it is feasible for me to be making X number of dollars, so this is my goal. And I did that. And then I exceeded that because I had families to support, so that was the primary driver. But one of the main reasons why I got this car was because my son loves cars. He's always loved cars. He is in love with this car specifically, and I think and have always wanted it to be like a great road trip car for us. So, and it has done that multiple times and will continue to in the future. So again, it all kind of ties together, and this is like a multi-pronged message of how I was able to achieve this. I'm 41 years old. I got this car right before I turned 40, basically. And it's not like it was just this on a whim sort of thing. I have loved these cars since, back when I learned about the WRC in the early 2000s, Colin McRae, playing video games. The high schooler in me still lives, and making it work. So all of that is to say, if you have a dream that you've been chasing and it seems like it's not a reality or it's beyond your reach, what I will say, anytime I have a goal and I want it to happen on my timeline, and it's like clearly an unrealistic timeline, and sometimes you have to be really honest with yourself about that, like set your realistic expectations. For example, like I just mentioned with my salary, for me it was a realistic goal because I knew how the industry worked. I was positioning myself to get the credentials that would allow me to make X number of dollars. So for me, yes, that goal, that was a very real reality. But you have to set those goals and try to achieve them in a realistic way, and set timelines that are aggressive but not unrealistic. You have to push yourself. You definitely have to push yourself. And pushing yourself will pay off. It may not seem like it pays off right away, but if you don't put in the effort, you're not going to see the return. It's a simple input-output equation or process, however you want to think of it. I just know that there are a lot of things in my life that I wanted to happen that did not happen as I expected it to, but eventually things played out in a way that were far better than I could have comprehended. And a lot of that is just kind of trusting yourself, trusting the process, and failing. Like, a huge part of that is failing, because if you don't go out and fail, how can you learn what you need to improve in? And nobody's perfect, so there will always be some degree of failure. And with that said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care. Peace.